Alright, guys, let's talk about The Fly 2. And this is the last film in the Fly franchise that I have to review. I reviewed the first three Fly movies that are connected, and then I reviewed the Jeff Goldblum one. And now I'm reviewing the sequel to the Jeff Goldblum one, The Fly 2, which is not directed by Cronenberg and does not keep Jeff Goldblum or Geena Davis in the movie. It's about their son Martin, who is of course the descendant of Seth Brundle, and he accelerates at a really fast rate, and he falls in love with this girl named Beth, and he starts to have the same sickness that his dad had, except that he was born with it, as opposed to Seth Brundle creating it and being deformed because of that. So right out of the way, I'll say that this movie, I like the ideas of this movie a lot. I think that this is a cool idea. And the Fly films, I like how each one of them, kind of besides the second Fly movie, the Return of the Fly, like, I liked it alright, but it's not one that's, like, unique on ideas. It's kind of the same movie again to the original Fly, Return of the Fly is. And Curse of the Fly was a really different sequel, and I really liked that. I liked how it was very different and unique. And this one is very different and unique, too, as a sequel to the Jeff Goldblum Cronenberg Fly. And it's a fascinating sequel because, again, it's about this kid named Martin, the son, descendant of Seth Brundle. And it's interesting because this character accelerates really quick. He is, for the most part, 5 years old in this movie, but he is aged to be 20. And I think that that's cool that there's a rapid acceleration rate. I think that's interesting. And I liked seeing the opening of the movie connect to the last movie where Veronica does have her child, and it's like the dream. It's the maggot thing, except for the baby pops out of it. It's like a shell containing the baby inside. And I think that's really cool. And I really like that idea. I like that her nightmare was a real thing. I like that they kept it from the last movie. And the only thing that stinks, though, is that Geena Davis does not reprise her role as Veronica in the pregnancy scene, because it's a situation where you got a character who survives the first movie, and then in the second one they're automatically killed off. So I could see why Geena Davis didn't care to come back, and I think it said on IMDb that she was like they offered to have her back, but then I think she said no because she just got killed off so quickly, and also she didn't like the birthing scene from the first movie. So I think that's interesting that she didn't come back. But that actress who plays her at the beginning of the movie, honest to God though, she's got a voice that sounds like her, and she looks like her. Like, you know it's not Geena Davis, but she has a very similar facial look to her. Like, she looks kind of like her, and they also kind of disguise her face a lot by putting the thing on her mouth while she's having the baby, and it's like they're blocking the way because you know that it's not her. But I think that they did a cool job in making it, even though it's not Geena Davis, it has this actress that looks and sounds a lot like her. So even though it's not her, I like that it connects to the continuity, even though it's a different actress. I thought that was interesting. And Jeff Goldblum does appear in archived footage, like deleted scene from the first movie, where it's recorded like on camera and like his son is watching it. So I do like that they bring back these characters in a way where they're still in the movie, but they're both dead. So I think that's fascinating. And so I think the movie's an interesting sequel, but honestly, if I'm being completely honest, I didn't really love this movie. I thought it was just okay. Like, it was totally passable. Like, the Martin character is just okay. The Beth character is just okay. They're not as interesting as, like, Seth Brundle or Veronica, like, from the first movie. Like, they're not that interesting, in my opinion. And maybe if I watch this another time, because this was my first watch, I might feel a little different. But as of this watch, I really didn't care as much for the characters that were introduced in this movie. Like, I thought their setup was fine, the acting is fine, but it's just I never really got invested as opposed to the first Fly. And it's unfortunate because this movie does have cool ideas, and it's interesting in its execution. I do like that fact about this movie. And I like the fact that the movie ends on a way where you don't expect. because the other Fly movies, it's like the Fly and the human never go back to normal. But in this one, Martin's slowly becoming the Fly, and he mixes his in the machine with this other guy, the leader of like Bartok Industries that Seth Brundle had or was part of. And they kind of portray that as like how they do in Alien, where it's a big evil company. So it's interesting. But at the end of the movie, Martin Brundle and that leader guy from the company like switch in the teleportation device, where he becomes a creature and Martin becomes normal. And I thought that was a really cool way to end the movie. I thought the movie was honestly a little more interesting that they ended it on a happy note, even though some of these movies already do. But if you're comparing this to the Cronenberg one, I do like how the Cronenberg ends with like just dread. Like, it's a dreadful ending in a great way. And then in this one, it ends in a happy way, where the leader of the company, who has all this machinery, becomes the monster, and Martin is off scot-free, and he's normal. And I do think that's pretty cool. I think that's a cool way to end it. And the biggest thing I can give this movie is that the gore in this is really, really good. And the movie is not... It's definitely not as great at practical effects. But they're fine. They're serviceable. But the gore in this makes up for it. There are some kills in this movie where it's ridiculous, but in a great way. I really, really love these kills. There's one guy who is like a security guard or something, and like the Fly like vomits or pukes of acid on his face, and like his face, you see his whole head just melt, and it's glorious. It's so cool. And there's another guy who falls under an elevator, and you see his head smash. And for gore hounds, that is such a great moment. And for me, I really do love those two moments of gore. Like, the gore is really awesome in the last act. It's not spread out throughout the movie, and I feel like they were doing that on purpose for build-up, but I really enjoyed that. I thought that was really awesome. So I really enjoyed a lot of things about The Fly 2, but for me, it's not a sequel that I was invested with the characters. But I still think that it's a serviceable enough sequel, but it's kind of like the Leftovers sequel, where it has the other guy. Forgot his name, Veronica's ex-boyfriend in the first one. He's back in this. He's the only one that returns. John Getz, I think, and he's the only one that returns in this movie. And besides that, it's like, it kind of feels like it's in continuity, but it kind of doesn't, because everybody else is gone except for the John Getz character. So it's one of those movies where it's a sequel that I wasn't always invested in watching it, but there are moments of greatness and moments of interesting stuff. Like, the gore is good. I like the ideas, but it's just not a movie that I was ever fully invested in watching it. And again, that might change. I might watch this again and maybe like it more. But as of this watch, it's a totally serviceable sequel. I had fun with it. Hey guys, if you like this video, consider checking out my other content. I review a majority of films that are pretty recent, and also older films, and mostly horror as well. Horror is my favorite genre, so I expect a lot of horror. And check out all my links down below. I have a link to Patreon. I have a link to Instagram, link to Twitter, link to my Facebook group, Horror Enthusiast 101, and to my own personal Facebook page, CDR Movie Reviews. And thank you for anybody who watched this video. Thanks for watching.